What is going on, people inside that internet machine? Welcome to this episode. Today, we are talking about hidden gems on one of my favorite consoles of all time, the PlayStation 2. Stick around. So here we go. I love the PlayStation 2. I could talk about the PlayStation 2 all day. And looking through all of 400 or 500 of my PlayStation 2 games, I quickly realized it is very difficult to make a list of 5 PlayStation 2 hidden gems. So today we are doing 5 action type games on the PlayStation 2 that I consider hidden gems. But there are RPGs, there are action RPGs, turn-based RPGs, racing games, simulator racing games, arcade racing games, you know what I mean? Sports games, and it's incredible the amount of games that are on the PlayStation 2. So, like I said, I am sticking with 5 games today. The cheapest is $5, and the most expensive is like $30. So, when it comes to making these videos, I try to make videos where I'm not showing you like the rare and expensive games or games that you're never going to be able to find or get your hands on. I'm trying to give you a guide to find some awesome games that you can go out to your local game store, your local garage sale, flea market, thrift store, and probably find these games. So without further ado, let's get started with our number 1 game. So the first game on the list, now when you think of James Bond games, guys, you probably think of the King, 007, GoldenEye for the N64, and you should. That is a great game, but there is another game in the Bond universe that some people, even myself, consider to be the best James Bond game of all time. And that game is 007 Everything or Nothing. So Everything or Nothing is an original Bond story. Obviously, it's not a movie, but it does have the voice acting of Pierce Brosnan, Judi Dench, Heidi Klum, Shannon Elizabeth, William Dafoe is the bad guy, the guy that played Jaws, Robert Keel, and there's a couple others. The guy that played Q, all their voice acting is in there. But one of the things that makes this game so just exceptional is the graphics and the gameplay and the soundtrack. It all just fits together, these action sequences with the cutscenes. The graphics are so good that you can see like light reflections off of cars and buildings. It is quite incredible, and it is a cross-platform game. So if you have a GameCube, it's on that. If you have an Xbox, it's on that. But yeah, one of the things that James Bond games often lack, and looking at you, Quantum of Solace, is putting all of those James Bond elements into a video game. And if you don't know what those are, it's like you have the gunfire missions, you have like cover-based missions, you have stealth missions, vehicle missions, gadgets, all of those components, those chases and escapes, all those things that make a Bond movie great should be in a Bond video game, and oftentimes they are not. They always leave out some element, or one of those elements isn't very good. In Everything or Nothing, it is all done very good with the care of that this is an actual, you're playing a movie, that you're actually in this movie. And the diversity of everything. You've got camel suits for yourself and for the car. You've got gadgets, you got your grenades, and you have these little spider droids that you can like put into vents and work them around buildings to come out behind enemies and blow them up. It is incredible. There's a helicopter, a tank, there's cars, motorcycles, all different kinds of things going on in this game. You are never bored. And like I said, it plays like a James Bond game where you start with think of a typical James Bond movie. You start with that action sequence, right? And then it goes to the cutscene, there's some type of escape, and you hear that da-da, da-da, right? And the intro rolls. It does that in this game, so it gives you sort of that pre-game like intro thing that you have to do to get the startup screen to go, and then you play the missions. Just like a lot of the games that were built at this time, there's things to collect, and there's like platinum level rewards for doing things quickly, but it is a very, very good game, and anybody that has played this will tell you that James Bond Everything or Nothing on the PlayStation 2 is a must-have in your PS2 collection. Under $15, and Metacritic gave it an 84, which I think is low. I think it's probably like a 95. But I love James Bond. So coming in at number 2, you can see I am very excited about this game. Shikigami no Shiro 2, my second favorite shooter franchise of all time. Oh, you guys don't really know what that is? Okay, so sorry. Castle Shikigami 2, and I actually made a little lineage history type video, so let's check that out right now, and then we're gonna talk about this awesome shooter. All right, so we're talking about the Castle of Shikigami series in the United States. I feel like it's important to start here with Mobile Light Force. This is actually another shooter series called Gunbird, which is also very good. You should check that out. We then got Mobile Light Force 2. Man, it's hard to tell why these games didn't sell 1 billion copies, but Mobile Light Force 2 is not Gunbird 2. Gunbird 2 actually came out on the Sega Dreamcast. Mobile Light Force 2 is Shikigami no Shiro. Enter Shikigami no Shiro 2 or Castle Shikigami 2 on the PlayStation 2. Lastly, we did get Shikigami no Shiro 3, Castle of Shikigami 3 on the Nintendo Wii, but now I'm just flexing.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
So Castle Shikigami 2 it's an arcade shooter. It's only 5 stages. Those stages are in 2 parts. There's like 10 levels, you know what I mean? 10 shorter type levels. And you pick your character and they all have different shot patterns. They all have different Shikigami powers. It loosely translated means Castle of Spirits is what Shikigami no Shiro means. But you're flying in these castle type environments, you know, like the courtyards into the main chambers and stuff like that. And each character, like I said, has a different shot type and pattern. They have a different Shikigami or spirit power, and some of those are like blades that come around them and they can block bullets and you can move those. Some of them are astral projecting a clone of themselves to shoot enemies or bosses from different directions, that kind of stuff. You really have to like find your character, find the one that represents you the most, and you have a screen clearing bomb. But what's interesting is that there are no power-ups to collect during the level, so you really need to figure out which character you want to use through the entire game. Now, being an arcade shooter, when they bring these bullet hell shooters over to the United States, they typically do so and they make some concessions. Shikigami no Shiro games are bullet grazers. So there's a lot of bullets on the screen, so they are bullet hell, but they're a subgenre called bullet grazers. You probably see it on the screen up here. Your return fire is blue, but if you're close enough to the enemy fire, your return fire returns as a red color. It does more damage, you score higher, if you're into the scoring attack modes and things like that. Also what this game does is it gives you 2 sort of home console features, right? You wouldn't get away with this in the arcade because they want your quarters. But in the home ports, it's not one hit kill. You have a life bar of 3 and you get 3 bombs per little life bar. So they really want you to use those bombs, because if you only use 1 bomb and you take a hit, you lose those 2 bombs that you had remaining. They don't carry over. And the other thing it does, and it doesn't really tell you this, but it sneakily does this. For every hour of gameplay that you log, the Shikigami no Shiro games actually give you an extra continue. There's no bell that goes off, no whistle, no little achievement tag that says, congratulations, you earned an extra continue. You just get it. So after 9 hours, you can earn the maximum of 9 continues or whatever it is that they give you. There's a link there. There's a number of continues that you can't go past. But it's kind of interesting because by the time you get there, you're so good at the game that you really might not even need them for the final boss. You know what I mean? But the Castle Shikigami series, wow, it's a great series. After Einhander, it is my second favorite shooting franchise of all time. And $30 is kind of high for a PS2 game, but it's cheap for a shooter if you guys know what I'm talking about. So I definitely recommend Castle Shikigami 2. So number 3 may come as a surprise to a lot of you. It is Ghost Rider on the PlayStation 2. Yeesh. I know what you're thinking. That Nick Cage movie got a video game. How good could it be? So Ghost Rider, the video game, and Ghost Rider the movie are a little different. The game is loosely based on the movie. So the game is much, much better. It plays like a Devil May Cry, God of War clone. It looks beautiful. It sounds great. The combat is very intuitive. There's lots of combos and upgrades. You can upgrade your health. And your weapons and all of this stuff. There's like a combo breaker type situation where the more enemies you attack without getting hit, it kind of raises your rage meter. I forget what it's called, adrenaline meter or something. And you cause more damage, and some enemies have barriers that you need to have that at a certain level to get past. So it's very, very in-depth sort of gameplay. In between the levels, because you have to drive there are these really awesome and fun like arcade motorcycle stages where you're like jumping over these ramps and doing all these things. But Ghost Rider, it is definitely a hidden gem, but more and more people are starting to talk about it, and the price is starting to reflect that. This is getting into that $20 to $30 range when it used to be a $10 or less game all day. So if you're thinking about getting this one, I would jump on a copy of this as soon as possible. But the fun is really after you've already beaten the game, because back in the day, kids, we didn't have a DLC, we didn't have, internet wasn't that popular, they didn't update our games for us. After you beat games back in the day, it would unlock things for you. In Ghost Rider, you get all these cheat codes like invincibility, one-hit kill, unlimited specials, automatically refill your health and all your special weapons. But it unlocks some characters like the original Ghost Rider costume, Ghost Rider 2099, Vengeance, and Blade. Yes, Blade, that awesome Wesley Snipes movie series from back in the day. I love that movie. I saw it in the theaters. It was incredible. And you can play as Blade in this game. And I put on like all the cheat codes. And I literally just one-hit killed my way through the entire game in like 2 hours. It was absolutely phenomenal. But there's more, right? It's like one of these infomercials. But wait, there's more. There are comic books, Midnight Suns comic books in there that you can unlock and you can read. There's commentary from the directors and the producers and the people that were involved in the game telling you how they made certain parts. I wouldn't say it's puzzle heavy, it is very combat heavy. So if you like the combat in God of War or Devil May Cry, you will definitely like this game for sure. It's pretty linear, so you're not gonna get lost. You just keep driving through enemies, get to that final boss, destroy it, move on, do your motorcycle thing, and then wash, rinse, and repeat. But it is a ton of fun, and if you can get it cheap at your local game store, 15 bucks or under, I would definitely say get Ghost Rider on the PlayStation 2. So number 4 today, if you know me at all, or you've watched this channel for any length of time, you had to know that this game was gonna be on the list. It is one of my top 5 PlayStation 2 games of all time. It is Siphon Filter Dark Mirror. And it's usually about $5. It's the cheapest game on the list today. Now, I love the Siphon Filter series, which started on the PlayStation 1. There are 3 games. There are 3 games on the PS2. This one, I think, is by far the best. It is not like any other action, spy, tactical espionage type game. In fact, when it comes to that style of game, it doesn't really do anything that's too far off the beaten path. But it does do 2 things that are very, very special that you really don't see a lot of in games anymore. So the first thing is the sniper rifle, which appears in like every action game ever, right? The sniper rifle. But in Siphon Filter Dark Mirror, you have your standard rifle bullet, you've got an electronic dart, like a taser dart, you have a exploding dart, and you have like a gas cloud dart. That will allow you to play levels a certain way. So you could shoot a dart at a bad guy, wait for him to walk around the tank and talk to the other bad guys, and then activate the exploding dart, right? You could pre-launch darts in certain areas, so when enemies come running past them as you're engaging here, you can detonate those darts and clouds of poisonous gas go over this way, and kills the enemy. So it really gives you a lot of variety, I guess is probably the best word. A lot of variety on how you attack certain situations. And the second thing is you have a set of goggles that have night vision, which is always useful. Thermal vision, like the Predator, you can see like heat signatures in the dark. And then like these EDT, EDST electronic goggles, which kind of turn everything red like the Virtual Boy, but you'll see little yellow pathways for conduits and electrical signals. You can use that to access certain areas or computers or turn on switches. And booby traps that are attached to walls, you can see those so you don't walk into them and die. But it is just an awesome action adventure. I think it's done the right way. It's definitely one of my favorite games of all time, like I said. And along with those two elements, over 70 weapons, grenades, gadgets, and there's almost infinite possibilities when it comes to gameplay style. Of course, just like any of those games back in the day, you can replay to get a higher score or better ranking. There are stealth kills that they will allow you to do in this game, and those are sort of like, you got 4 or 5 and you got to go find the other one. It's like sneak up behind the guy and smash his head into the pinball table, or kick the guy into the electrical panel or something to get those stealth kills. But it is an excellent game. I love Siphon Filter Dark Mirror, and I think you'll like it too if you like the action games on the PlayStation 2, especially like Metal Gear Solid. If you like Metal Gear Solid, you'll probably like Siphon Filter Dark Mirror. So the last game on the list is definitely one of my favorite games on the PS2, especially when it comes to action genre, but I'm a big fan of Tomb Raider. This is Tomb Raider Anniversary. Now, Tomb Raider Anniversary should really only run you about $10, and I would definitely recommend it. Crystal Dynamics and Eidos did a series of Tomb Raider games on the PS2, Legend, Anniversary, and Underworld. I liked all 3 of them, so they all have like pros and cons, but they did release a collection of those on 7th gen, so Xbox 360 and PS3. There was a collection. This game's actually on the Wii if you're into motion controls. I am not. But Anniversary is a remake of the PlayStation 1 version with not only some updated graphics, but there are some extra bells and whistles in this game that I think make it very, very special. And to be honest, when I was playing this game, this is a true test of your gaming skills. If you fancy yourself a gamer and you want a decently challenged game that will make you not only use all those eye-hand coordination things, but also your brain for puzzles, then this is definitely the game. You have your standard run and gun combat, and they added this adrenaline dodge. So it's like if you do a precise dodge, these 2 circles start to line up, and if you time that right, you'll do a very powerful like headshot, and it's great against bosses and tougher enemies. But then on the other side, the platforming stages, this is really set up to test your skills, because you'll have to shimmy across the thing, kick flip backwards onto an incline that you're going down, then jump on a pole, spin around, catch another ledge. You got to hit triangle so you don't fall off. She can lose her grip in this game. Shimmy across that as it's braking behind you, kick flip and spin off into another area, which is, takes you off into the next zone of the level. But you have to be able to do that. You have to be able to pull things off of walls that create steps for you to go on. It is very, very smart level design. And then there are like quick time events. There are things like the puzzles, which will not only make you think, but they'll make you think a couple moves ahead. Like, I want to move this object from point A to point B, but it's blocked. So how am I going to get around? Do I need to do this first? It is incredible. It is quite the challenge for this game, definitely. And once you figure all that out and you've gone through the vehicle stages and you've done all that stuff, right? You've beaten the tomb, or you've done everything in the tomb. You've found the artifact. You're rewarded with a cutscene and a little bit more of the story, and then you sort of jet set off to these other locations. And Tomb Raider Anniversary, not only do you have the manor, but you got like Greece and Egypt and Peru and like just a bunch of places where you have to go. It is sort of lacking on enemy variety. A lot of animals, a lot of tigers and wolves and gorillas and bears and stuff. But there are some people enemies in there. And I love Tomb Raider Anniversary. For $10 though, I think it is a steal. It is one of the best games on the PlayStation 2, especially if we're just talking about action games. If you think back to the PlayStation 1 era, the polygonal era, the controls were set up a certain way. They were kind of clunky, almost tank controls. That is fixed in this game. Everything moves smoothly as it can on the PS2. Looks nice, sounds nice, plays nice. It's really just a joy to play. And like I said, I highly recommend Tomb Raider Anniversary. It's one of my favorite games of all time. But again, I am a Tomb Raider sucker. I love those types of games. What do you guys think? Well, guys, that is going to do it. Those are my 5 PlayStation 2 hidden gems in the action genre. What PlayStation 2 games do you like? Make sure that you leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share on social media, because that actually really does help out a lot. Don't forget to bang that notification bell. So you can stay up to date on all of your CM retro gaming goodness, guys. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you on the next one.